Welcome to Aaron Plays. In this episode we'll be doing turn 8 of La Bataille de Hanau for the coalition. The first stage of the turn order is to determine army morale levels. The French have so far taken 19 step losses and they have 3 disordered units, taking their army morale level to 22. And the coalition have taken 56 step losses and have 18 disordered and routed units, bringing their army morale level to 74, which takes them over the demoralisation level. Each army's demoralisation level is as follows. The French's is 70 and the coalition's is 60. The French's actually have a smaller army, but their demoralisation level is higher due to the quality of the troops that they actually have, because the majority of the troops here are the Imperial Guard. With the coalition forces being over the demoralisation level, that increases their morale by 1. Decreases their morale by 1. So every morale check they have an additional -1 attached to it. Okay, the command phase. A lot of the coalition's forces are now also out of command. CNC, who's here, General de Verda, will put units within 10 hexes, or leaders within 10 hexes, in command. So Hanau, over on the extreme right, is in command, but Becker's is out. Over onto the Allied left, down here. Again, de Verda is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Fresnel's in command, but Spallini is out. Now, their units are in command. So Fresnel's units are in command, Spallini's are in command, it's just the commander isn't. So the commander cannot move further away from his commander. So he can stay there or move closer. His troops are still free to move within his area. He's got a command area of 6 hexes. Lamotte is in command. Now, Lamotte's actual units, 3rd Division, there's unit here, so they're okay. But there's quite a few of their units, or his units, that are on the other side of the board, because the French basically came and split his command. So on individual unit basis, I'm just going to have to take it as we go, because this is quite confusing who's in command of what. For example, though these mostly are in command, we now move to the Allied sort of line they've got here. Reserve artillery, that can be taking orders from Hanau, because he's an ad hoc commander he's in charge of the reserve. So that's in command from him. Well, then we have a Gren's 2nd Division unit, which should be getting command from Becker's, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it actually does. Becker's, though Becker's is out command himself, that unit is in command through Becker's. There's a unit under General Hanau, who is actually part of Lamotte's division, so Hanau over on the right hand side and Lamotte on the left hand side. So this unit itself is out of command, however it's within 10 hexes of de Verda and he can take personal command of that unit. each army general can take personal command of 3 units. So that will be under his command. Okay. So that's pretty much the command phase. Moving on to the charge phase. The coalition commander gave me instructions that there will be no charges, no cavalry charges. Probably due to the situation. There's quite a lot of French guns where the actual coalition have a lot of cavalry. And there's also quite a lot of actual French cavalry there. So, probably, and the fatigue levels are rising on pretty much both sides. But therefore there are no cavalry charges. So on to the movement phase. The coalition are receiving some reinforcements, and that's up in the north here. I did discuss this in the previous video about what the French reactions are and what the options were for this cavalry force. And the coalition commander has decided to bring them on through the woods. Well, I ain't going to charge into the woods. So these are quite weak units individually. They have got 6 morale, so they're not the most eager beavers, but they've got quite high movement. So these are like Cossacks. They're bearing the Russian flag, so it doesn't actually specify who is there. Well, it does actually. It's got LW, so their actual commander is Splanini, who's way down the other side of the board. So they come on in command on the turn they arrive, but after that they'll be out of command, so they'll be having to go towards Splanini as they come on. And he's brought them on here. And then moved them up to here. Well, I ain't going to charge there. So we have an impasse. I can't charge in, and if he wants to charge out, well, you have to wait till the next charge phase for him. Okay, so that's the reinforcements done. And I say they're not great, but they're behind me, so I'm not too comfortable about those, and probably I'll have to do something about them at some point. Okay, so continuing, and we'll focus on the left flank here. Okay, Mr. Lamont with 1 unit. That's currently at fatigue 6. There's currently no garrison in Hanau, so he's asked this unit to get there by all means possible to resist the French taking it, because this Hanau itself, if there are no coalition forces in Hanau by the end of the game, I deprive the coalition of 20 victory points. So it's just quite a big swing. So moving this unit, 1, 2, 3. There's actually a gate here. Quite a lot of my shadow on the board. Hope you guys can still see what I'm doing. I switched off the light to give to prevent the shadow. That stops that, but hopefully the board is lit enough for you guys to see. Maybe that's my next investment, is to get a decent light source to prevent the shadow. So anyway, so this unit here is moving in 1, 2, 3, because difficult terrain is only 1 movement point. There is a gate into the town, so they move in and in general order. Apparently release some voltigeurs to guard the bridge. Okay, so that is the garrison, or the effective garrison of Hanau. Unit 17 size-wise, how many troops are actually in that? So that is the 8th line. There are 2 steps, effectively 600 men, each step being 300 men. Okay. I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm going to use these red dice here to remind me which units I've actually moved, because there are quite a few, and I'm reaching that age where memory is not the greatest tool I've got. So yeah, I'm going to use little red dice at the moment just to remind myself the units I have moved so far. Okay, some of the disordered units in this area. This one will come 1, 2, 3, going towards its line of communication. And what is moving, so I'm going to mark them off the side there at the moment. And this gun battery, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't cross the walls. Okay. Right, so that's those guys. The unit in the town here will stay here, and will also project some voltigeurs. Okay. Now, this unit that fell back, disordered 27, that spent 4 movement points. This is part of the 2nd Division. 2nd Division commander is way on the other side of the board. But the rules state if any unit of the command moves more than half their movement allowance, they gain fatigue. So we know Becker's is going to go up to 5 fatigue. I will take a note of that. Okay, so following my opponent's instructions, there's a general falling back of this cavalry away from the stream. I think more importantly away from my grand battery that's starting to form here, to minimise losses. So I've been sent photos by my opponent of where he wants what. So there's going to be a little bit of fiddling around. He wants this unit in here. That's unit number 7 to fall back to here. Unit is stuck with 06, 1 hex ahead of it to here. Okay, with unit 40. Now where's unit 40? That's there. Okay, so movement point wise, none of these are expending more than half, so they won't accrue any fatigue at this point. So that's that hex done with. Then General Lamotte, he wants with 04 and 09. Okay, that's 05. Right. Okay, so these disordered units are falling back 1 hex to here. And he wants General Spallini to try and rally those guys. That was on a 4. These 2 here to fall back to here, and there to be another command of Lamotte. Okay. Now, Spallini was out of command. De Verda was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 away, and he's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my opponent, that's on his little map and diagram, has actually broken the rules there, because Spallini cannot move away from his armoured commander. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a favour. I'm going to swap these two stacks over, because that will then, you can still, what I can see what he's trying to do is to rally these guys with Spallini, and that'll keep him in command range, so he hasn't moved any further away. So Spallini's still on 4, Lamott's on 6 morale. Okay, so that's one of the restrictions of being out of command. You cannot move further away from your commander than what you started. The Cossacks fall back 1 hex. This cavalry unit here will go free facing change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's gone over half its movement to get to where that's unit 05. That's from the LW. So that will actually push Spallini's to 5 at the end of the turn. And Mr. Fresnel himself will try and rally those guys there. And he's still sitting on 7 fatigue. Okay, I didn't need dice after all that, so I put them in here to remind myself that I've done this area already. That concludes what's happening on the Allied left. Okay, so let's shift focus now to the Allied right. So I'm going to bring the camera over. Okay. Alright, so you can see the debacle here, the routed, disordered jumble. Here, if I was bringing the camera across, that there is the end of the board with the line of communication, which is, if they rout, that's where they rout off, and as they're disordered and they fail rally checks, that's where they move 2 hexes towards. Okay. Here's the line they've got trying to form up to try and stop what's going on here, where I've got Imperial Guard, some cavalry now under the direct command of the great man himself. Okay, let me just find a good spot for the camera. Alright, there we go. Hopefully you can see all that. Okay. Right, generally I'm following a photograph here. There's a general fallback of these guys to further towards the road. Been trying to get away from my cavalry, so he's falling back to around this sort of wooded area here. There's a great pile of these guys with trying to find the exact right unit that he's running away with. Now, Beckers, who's out of command, cannot move further away from De Werder at present. So he's got to stay roughly this area. Okay. This is going to take a bit of careful manoeuvring. Make sure I get the right units roughly in the right place. So disordered units have all-round facing, so they don't worry about facing changes. 2, 3, 4, 5, Okay, that's that one. Unit 16. He wants to go down to there. What's spicing on the top? Okay. Spreading them out a bit. Maybe that's because he's worried about the cavalry. If he hits the whole stack, the whole lot will go. Okay, so he wants Becker's to end up here. Put a green dice to remind me of that. Currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 hexes away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 hexes away. So again, Becker's can't move there. So if that's 13, he can move here, which is 12. So I think we'll have to do that for him. Okay, so Becker's will end up stacked with his 3 units still, so they fall back. Into here. With his current 4 fatigue still showing. The routed units. Now he's moved them a few hexes. Now I think I have to check the rules on the routed units. I'm not sure if they have to move full. Okay, the rules are a little vague on routed units because it's an advanced rule. Not in the standard rules, if a unit is disorganised, it actually is removed from the game. But with the advanced rules that we're playing on this, yes, they brought in rout. Now it says with rout units, if one of my units moves adjacent to them, they rout their full movement allowance. If they fail a morale check, they rout their full movement allowance. But it also says in the rules that they move normally, so I'm presuming that means terrain costs and such forth. It says it moves normally, but only towards its lines of communication. So and I think my opponent's interpreting that they can still move less than the route distance. So I'm not going to be pedantic on it. I'm going to let him go back with these guys. Oh, that's a bit of a mess. Fat fingers don't help. Right, so these guys are routed in here. Okay. This routed unit here. It's working its way through the woods by the looks of it. Ending up here. This unit's falling back in disorder. Ends up in the woods here. And we have Clay now going back to try and rally that unit. Okay, so these 2 units that are rallied, now they've each only got 1 step, so but he has got them trying to form a line of defence. Now, how has he moved these guys? They're in column. He wants them to end up, there's a tree here, so he wants one to end up here, and one to end up here in line. A rear guard as such. Okay, so when it comes to moving a unit, so the first turning is free of charge. Okay, so then it would be, so that's free. That'd be 1, 2. And every hex is a free facing change. 3. 4. Oh, he wants them facing in line that way. Okay. Let's go through that, see if I'm missing something. So they're right there at the present moment. Retrograde movement is 2 movement points. So that'd be 2, 4. Change into line that way, yes. 2, 4. So their front is that at the present moment. So when they change into line, they can occupy the fronts there. However, that does mean they moved their full movement out. So that's Mr. 3, 3rd Division, which is Lamotte, who's on the opposite side of the board. But that will accrue him fatigue. Okay, so far Becker, Splini and Lamotte are going to accumulate fatigue. And the same with this guy, so that'll be 2, 4. And that's 2nd Division, 5. Now they cannot output voltigeurs because they've only got 1 step left. And you must have at least 2 steps to put out voltigeurs. Or more steps than you have for voltigeurs. Whatever. Let me find out the correct exact wording of the rule. Okay, so the exact wording is a unit cannot deploy more voltigeurs than the number of losses steps they have left. More than. Okay, so they could deploy voltigeurs because they've each got 1 step loss and they can deploy 1 voltigeur then. I think the rule itself is aiming at some of the light regiments can deploy 2 voltigeurs, but if they only had 1 step remaining, then they couldn't do so. So they could deploy voltigeurs. He hasn't done so on his diagram, but I think that might be useful for him. So let's get some of these light boys out. Okay. I'll check the actual rule. I might have diddled him there. Okay. Yes, this is still a learning experience for myself. I'm getting more familiar with the rules. And in the next game I do, I'll be actually using the full written orders order system, which will be the next step of my learning curve for these rules. Okay, so let's just pan the camera a little bit. So that's the extreme right flank done. Okay, into the centre-ish part. This unit and these 2 units are the remaining units to move. This one here is falling back to this town here, Leerhof. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, remember disordered units have got all-round facing. They don't pay for facing changes, such forth. Again, that's part of the 2nd Division, moving its full movement allowance. 2nd Division is Becker's. They've already accrued the fatigue, or will be accruing the fatigue, so don't have to worry about that one. So what's happening with Diverter and these 2 units here? Well, it looks like these 2 units are remaining in place, and Diverter is going into town to join the rear guard, the garrison of the town. Okay, to try and hold up the situation. Well, that concludes the movement for the coalition. Defensive fire. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side as I'm already here. I've got a gun battery here and a gun battery here, and I have skirmishers that can target these. Now this reserve battery here, unit 36, has currently no losses. Okay, so if this battery fires on it, so that'll be 6, 5, 4, 3, and this battery here, 6, 5 plus 3 is 8. And then I'll only get one skirmish on here. The other option I've got is to fire this battery at this infantry. Unit 30 has got 4 steps remaining of its 7. Fire this battery at it. That would be going through the skirmishers, so that would be 6, 5, 4. Down one for skirmisher 3, but I can use the skirmisher back up to 4 again. I really would like to get rid of this infantry unit. And then that would mean firing on the gun battery. 6, 5, 4, 3, plus 1 for the skirmisher here, be 4. So it's 2 lots of 4. Just confirm that. 6, 5, 4, down 1 for firing 3 skirmishers, up 1 for a skirmisher, back to 4. So it's 2 shots at 4. Or I could do a shot of 8 on here with the skirmishers involved. So that would be because it's not just artillery firing or point blank artillery with musketry involved as well. That means each step loss is an actual loss rather than a half step. And I might be able to blow this battery away. So I think that might be. So 6, 5, 4, 3 from that battery. 6, 5. That's total firepower of 8. Add the skirmishers 9. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. 9 firepower onto that battery with a 5. That should be 2 losses. Yeah, that's 2 step losses. Now, I'll just verify that rule, make sure I haven't misquoted it. Glad I referred to the rules again. Okay, so I thought if infantry were involved in the fire attack, that the losses would be, each step loss would be a full loss. See, this is again an advanced rule. Artillery losses. So each time an artillery is fired upon by an enemy artillery, its losses are tallied as half losses. Okay. And I thought if there are infantry involved, even skirmishers, that negates that, but it's not quite true. If the fire attack is a combined attack by infantry or skirmishers and artillery, the half loss rule applies if the artillery provides half the total fire value or more, in which case it did, because only 1 was provided by the skirmisher, and the full 8 here was provided by the artillery. So the half loss rule sticks. So therefore, 2 step losses were inflicted on this artillery, which then becomes 1 step loss. So that artillery battery has been reduced by 1 full step, rather than 2 full steps. So that's artillery battery 36. Okay. So I didn't blow it away. Well, hopefully now it won't pass its morale check. Its current morale is 8. Printed. It's part of the reserve, which are on fatigue 5, so that takes them down to 7 because they're fatigued. That's 7. Overall army demoralisation is 6. There are 9, so they failed that actual test, so they disorder. We're in turn 8 still, isn't it? Yeah. So 1, 2. That again is not quite true, is it? No. An artillery disorder because their movement phase is finished, they'd have to limit the guns and such forth. We don't need to put that on there. It gets marked with a disorganised counter. So if I move in there in my movement phase, I'll actually take out those guns. Okay. And then this on here, literally at a firepower of 1. So I need a 6. Ever hopeful? Ooh. Ever hopeful. Oh, if I was Austrians firing, that would have been a 6. Not so much now since I've changed the dice. Go back to prior videos to see the reaction to the original Austrian dice on that one. Okay, let's transfer the camera to the opposite front. We get involved in some shooting over here. By the ground battery. Okay, so we have artillery here. That's going to fire on the Forlorn Hope. So that would be 5, 6, 5, 4, and then I'm firing into the town. Firing into the town, which will subtract 2, so that would only 2. So if I only 2, so I need a 5 or a 6 cause a step loss there. No. Close but no cigar. Right, and now there's 3 artillery batteries here. Okay, so can we gang up? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this has only got a range of 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everything's out of range of it, so can't be used. This one here, range is 7, 5, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And this one here, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, and these are disordered units in the front. Let me just go back for a moment. Going back on my original opponent's diagram, that's why he wanted these guys in this hex and the formed guys in this hex. Because if I target these and I hit them, they will rout because they're already disordered. However, Spallini couldn't, if you remember earlier in the video, couldn't be in this hex due to him moving further away from Diverda. So I'm going to swap these guys back, but swap the leaders over. So Spallini will stay in this hex, but he'll be with the formed guys, and the disordered units will be with Lamotte. I wish there was an easy way to move these stacks once they've got multiple stacks of disordered, but there isn't. So Lamotte is there, going to try and rally those, and Spallini's here with 2 formed guys. Okay, Spallini's the one with the former out. Okay, I didn't want to rout his guys. So, batteries out. So this one here, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So 2 lots of 2. Fire of 4 on that cavalry. Oh, you can't see my die roll, but there we go. Sorry. So it's a nasty 6 with firepower of 4. It's still only one step, unless I can find a way to get a +1 bonus. French wishful thinking? Maybe not. Okay, so that lead unit, 09, takes a step loss. That is the Dragoons. Okay, so their morale on the counter is an 8. Spallini makes them, with his morale bonus, a 9. The whole formation, the whole army is demoralised, so that's an 8. And they're not fatigued as yet. So their morale is 8. They pass. Have I got anything else that can fire? Oh, I had another battery there. Oh, that's my mistake. I should have checked under the leader, because that would have been another 7, 6, 5. Take away 2 is 3. 6, 5, 4. Take away 2 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. What did I actually roll there? So I didn't, with 2 take a step loss on them. I can't remember. Let's see if I can go back a bit. Okay, so I've rechecked and I rolled a 3 on that shot, so let's go through that now. So that's 6, 5, 4, minus 2 for the wall, so that's 2 from there. This one's a 7, 7, 6, 5. Take away 1 for the skirmisher, so that's 4. And take away 2 for the wall is 2. So it's a total fire value of 4. And I rolled a 3. That is a result of a morale check. So we will now check the morale of that unit there. Okay. So his printed morale is 8. Werder makes 9. Being in the town adds another 2. So it's up to 11. However, the army is demoralised. So that's 10. And Commander 3, 3rd Division Lamont, is fatigued. So it makes it down to a 9. So the likelihood is they will stand. They've rolled bang on the button 9. Just make sure I haven't forgotten anything, because I really would like those out of the town. So the printed morale is 8, Werder 9, town plus 2 is 11. Demoralised command, army, 10, and fatigued to 9. They stand. No step loss, it was only a morale check. The Werder kept them in place. And that concludes the defensive fire phase. Now over to the offensive fire phase. Well, they've got no guns down here. There's no guns. We've got a skirmisher up here, which is out of range. There is actually, looking along the lines, no offensive fire. Melee phase. There are no melees. They're not assaulting anywhere. After the melee phase is the rally phase. So there's a fair few of that. So let's go through. Now, okay. this unit here is right on the edge of the map. If he fails to rally, he will leave the board. So I don't think I will do it. You're not forced to rally. There's no, you must rally if possible. So I won't attempt to rally this unit for him, because if it goes, it's permanently gone. This unit here, unit 37, I will. Actually, it's only turn 8, so he's got a 7 marker, so he can't rally, because you can only rally if it's 2 difference. So this one in here with Fresnel can, because he's on his turn 6 marker on there, and it's turn 8, so they can be attempted to rally. Okay, so their morale printed is 8. Fresnel makes 9, his morale modifier. Then you've got -1 for the army morale, that's us back to 8. Another 2 off have been disorganised already, so it takes it to 6. And they are fatigued, because they're part of his, and they've got 7 fatigue, takes it to 5. They roll an 8, so they fall back an additional 2 hexes. That's the problem if you don't rally. Okay, stacked with Mr. Lamotte. There are 2 units with a 6 on it. So this top unit here's got a printed morale of 8. Lamotte makes 9. Disorganised. Sorry, not, yeah, disorganised takes it down to 7. And they're not fatigued, but you've got the army demoralised, makes it 6. So 6. They rally. The unit underneath them, they'll be on a 6 as well. Have they got any losses that might interfere with that? Unit 34, no, they're on a 6. Couple of lucky rolls there, that all helps. Lamotte has done his duty. So we have an artillery battery here. And an infantry unit forming up here. Okay. Right, so that's the disordered units on this side of the board. Right, moving over to here. Right, so this stack here, alright, okay, so the top unit, printed morale of 8, Bex makes 9. There's 2nd Division, who is Beckers himself, so that's okay. Their morale not fatigued yet. They will be by the end of the turn. So 8, 9. Disordered though takes them back to 7, and demoralised army is a 6. Some good rolls, reorganising. So he's back, so let's get rid of that 3. Next guy down, morale 20, unit 25. Make sure he hasn't got any losses that will get in the way? No. So his printed morale is be the same. It'll be 8, plus 1 for Beck's 9, and minus 3 for the minus 2 for the being disordered, and minus 1 for demoralised. So it takes him down to a 6 as well. Well, well, well. These boys want to come back. And this unit here, unit 28, make sure again, losses don't get in the way. No. So he'll be the same, another 6. Well done, Mr. Beckers. Job done. And they're all his command, aren't they? All second division. Good job he rallied them before the fatigue comes into effect. The unit next to him, unit 16, has got Morales. Maybe he'll wait for Becker's. He's got Morales, printed Morales 6. Take away 2 is 4. Demoralised, that's a 3. He ain't coming back. He might prefer him here than 2 hexes further back. Unit 31 here, however, it's got a 7 on it, so he can't rally. The routers have got to be, it's got to be 2 turns in advance, so these have got an 8 on them, so these can't rally at all. Clanel's the unit he's stacked with. He can attempt him. So morale unit 32. Yeah, it's got no losses on it. Unit 32. So printed morale of 8. Clanel will actually take it up to 10. Level 2 commander, or morale 2 commander. So that's a 10. Taking away 3. 2 for the disorganised and 1 for demoralised. So it's a 7. Well, all round, that was a pretty good rally phase for the coalition. Got quite a few of their boys back. So that concludes the rally phase. Bit of fatigue though. So, as I've said, I did have a... Okay, so Becker's fatigue comes into effect now. So if he had to rally those guys again, there'd be another minus 1 modifier. But he rallied before that came into effect. Spallini, who's on the other side, he now also goes to 5 fatigue. And Lamotte goes to 7. Fresnel doesn't increase. So that's the fatigue, and that ends the coalition's 8th turn. Well, thank you for watching. If you liked and enjoyed what you've seen, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There's still 4 turns to go. Victory-wise, I think the French have won the actual battle. It's now the extent of the victory. Is it a minor victory or is it going to be a major victory? The French still need to get some units off here, if possible, because if they don't, they lose quite a few victories. Well, they don't gain the victory points that would be allocated to them, so there's quite a lot of victory there. They've got 30 victory points for clearing this side of the river, north of here. Though I'm not sure about those 2 reinforcements, if they would affect that. It's a little bit woolly on that one. So if those 2 cavalry went over to this side of the river, So we're talking about those cavalry up the top there. Coming over here. A bit gamey, but there we go. Victory conditions are victory conditions, I suppose. French got enough to deal with that. Hanau itself, well, so it's worth 20 victory points to the coalition. Is the unit that's in there enough to hold off Victor's corps? Well, we will see probably in my 9th movement phase, because yeah, I will be going across for the town. Interestingly enough, I've also got some cavalry over here now on direct command of Napoleon. These units of the coalition that are down here in their front, I've only got 1 step each. So will I charge those to try and get to the routed guys? Well, he's now recovered a fair amount of units here for strength. So maybe I've pushed as far as I can there. Because I haven't got that many troops across. Yes, it looks like a lot of counters, but some of those units are a little bit shot up. So I'll have to think that through, ready for my 9th turn. Anyway, as I've said, thank you for watching. Until next time,